Islam now is an intellectually bankrupt religion. It is on life support. Those of us who were born in this religion are living this cult in droves. It is dying from within. It is the fastest dying religion. Rather, it is the fastest dying cult. You will see a few are coming to this religion and chanting Allah Akbar. But what you don't see is the fact that many of these newly convert Muslims are living Islam within a very short time of coming into it. Those who come to this religion or the newly convert are generally ill-informed or less informed. They come to this religion with an enthusiasm that it is the only religion which talks about there being only one creator. But they don't know this religion from within. They will never be able to win arguments and debates with the ex-Muslims who suffered many years from it. Islam is now on life support. And it is crying out to survive. It wants to survive by shouting hatred against the leaders of this religion. It wants to survive by killing the apostates. It wants to survive by assassinating the characters of the ex-Muslims. It wants to thrive in the ignorance of its followers. It is the fastest dying cult. I examined this religion from every angle. I considered it from the traditional point of view. I preached it for decades because I was brainwashed, like my forefathers who were brainwashed as well. We were never taught the opposite arguments. Most of us are following the religion ritually. Most of us do not know Arabic. We utter the prayers like mantras, like nonsense rhymes. Most of us do not know what we utter during our prayer. We don't know that we utter verses where we are ordered to kill the non-believers wherever we find them, because we are only taught that this is the only religion which says there is no compulsion in religion. It doesn't say that this is a religion which is rather reliant on the worshipping of a man as God. Islam is nothing without the hadiths. The present-day Islam is not a religion which is based on Quran mainly. Rather, you are not a traditional Muslim if you do not follow the hadiths, if you do not follow the tafsirs or interpretations. You won't be able to perform the Hajj in Mecca if you don't go beyond the Quran. You won't be able to perform or even find clearly the 5-time prayer a day if you do not go beyond the Quran. You will not be able to perform any ritual of Islam if you don't go beyond the Quran. So going beyond the Quran is the Islam today. Even the Quran itself in chapter 69 verse 40 clearly says that these are the words, that is, the Quran are the words of the Prophet. So in fact, Allah is the fake identity of Muhammad himself. Throughout the book, Allah is rather trying to please the Prophet. He chose the Qibla because Muhammad wanted Masjid al-Haram to be the Qibla. Surah 2 or chapter 2, verse 144. This Quran appeases the Prophet, makes him happy, or efforts to make him happy, all through the verses. In chapter 66, it gives the license to the Prophet to discipline his wives. It gives the license to the Prophet to marry his own daughter-in-law. And it bans his widows or ex-wives from marrying again. Read chapter 33. So throughout the book, the alter ego of the Prophet, Allah, wants to please the Prophet. It's a control freak religion. If you come to it, or if you're born into it, the tip of your penis is cut. You're circumcised. And if you want to live it, it will slit your throat. There's no freedom. You have no freedom of wearing a beard or not to wear a beard. You don't have the freedom about your clothing. You don't have the freedom even about which step to take first, the right one or the left one. You don't have the freedom of food. You don't have the freedom of color because green is prioritized, white is preferred. You have no freedom whatsoever. If your family members are not Muslims, they are in fact not your family. Chapter 9, verse 23 to 24. And again it says, the believers take pleasure in giving heinous death, humiliating death, to the adversaries and enemies. How can you take pleasure even in killing your enemies? It's a religion which tells you heaven is under the sword. That's why this religion is on life support. It's the fastest dying cult from within. We can't shout our apostasy. Rather, we are bound to listen to Allah Akbar all the time, 5 times a day, even if we don't believe in it. We have no freedom even of our ears. We have no freedom of our eyes. We have no freedom to research. We are taught how to execute hate, how to insult those who do researches, even critical researches. Because if the research takes us against the religion, we are branded as Abu Zahl, a father of ignorance. And we are taught to curse the enemies of Islam for centuries. That's why we are taught to recite Surah Lahab. Even if Mr. Lahab died centuries ago, we still curse him in our prayers. We are taught that the people of Jannah or heaven will be teasing the people of hell even when they are being punished. We have no freedom of our thought even. We have no freedom of our company hereafter. There is no appreciation for the women we love. We are promised the 72 virgins. the untouched ones. But there is not a single word in the Quran to say we will get our beloved wives and partners hereafter as well. We have no freedom whatsoever. But the good part of it is the more religious someone becomes in this religion will most likely leave it after some time. Because the more he will know, the more he will engage into mental gymnastics to keep this faith alive. But eventually, humanity will free him at last. Let freedom reign. Because I dream of a time where humanity will be free from all religions at last. What do you think? Why Zakir Naik was invited to Qatar? Just to preach Islam? No. It was a warning to India by Qatar. For what? For the Nupur Sharma and insulting the Prophet issue? No. Rather, it was a warning to India and to other countries who send laborers to Qatar that you better keep your mouths shut about the atrocities, the underpay of the laborers there after the World Cup. Otherwise, we will kick you out. And it showed India the middle finger by inviting their fugitive to Qatar, saying, we don't give a fuck about you. We can kick you out anytime we want, and you can do nothing about it. We don't value your contribution to the development of Qatar at all. That's the main message that Qatar is trying to send to the third world countries who have laborers working in that country for shit pay. That's the main politics. Didn't you get it? And Qatar is also sending a message to the Islamists in India that they are with these Islamists, the pro-Wahhabis, Salafis, when it comes to doing anything they want and say anything they want and insult whatever way they want about the other religions. But Islam must enjoy immunity from any kind of criticism. This is sort of Arabian theological imperialism. It's a knock on the door for India to watch out and to reconsider their relations with the Middle Eastern countries, because that's from where the ultra-religious ideologies are being imported into India. So India, it's about time you should think of pulling back your resources. It's about time you should consider recalling your manpower from these Middle Eastern countries if you want to keep your democracy freedom, and equality.